But if he is able to actually pull this off and make this city as miraculous as it actually looks and stuff like that, put his name on it. Because there's so many cities. First of all, Africa is not even the original name of that continent in the first place. Africa is actually a European name. It came from a European. Top. 3, 2, 1. Top Hill episode
146.
Let's get it. Welcome to another episode of the Top Hill Podcast. I'm your boy, Mr. Top Hill Pod, aka E-Money Boss.
And I'm your girl, Jamila, with her own boss.
So we want to go ahead and talk about our Millionaire of the Week, man.
This week's Millionaire of the Week is going to be Africa's own Akon.
Big Akon in the building, man. You guys probably heard this guy's music. Very popular artist, not just statewide but globally. I did not know he was 50 years old.
I'm just seeing that too.
That's crazy. Akon is an icon, a legend, responsible for so many people's start, including like T-Pain, Flo Rida, French Montana, Lady Gaga. So many people that you may not even know that he had a hand in. Mm-hmm. He had a hand in it. Always been a very, very smart, intelligent,
influential,
person, and he has tried to get us Americans to see the potential in Africa for a very long time. He's been, helping a lot of African artists as well too, like trying to help, bridge that gap as well too. Akon has done plenty of interviews where he's talked about how, basically anything that you want to do here in America, do it over there. You know what I mean? And
it always sounds so simple.
It sounds simple, right? And he makes it seem like, America, y'all just must love torture.
Give me your number so that I can come over there and do it. Like the fuck.
But it's a huge leap of faith. You know what I mean? And I know people do it. You know what I mean? People decide to go to Africa and do their businesses and become successful. And but there's always going to be challenges no matter what you do. It's not going to be just that simple. You know what I mean? Because you are stepping into a whole different country, someone else's house, different rules, different regulations, different culture. You know what I mean? And people move differently. Like here in the States, we have a certain standard. You know what I mean? And you may not get that in everywhere you go. You know what I mean? You can try to bring that and try to fix that and stuff like that, and and hopefully grow from there. But let's see. Akon has done a lot of stuff also in Africa as well too. I know he started the Lighting Up Africa initiative as well too, where he's bringing electricity to a lot of places in Africa that did not have access to it at all too. So his whole goal is to light Africa, provide just so they can have that infrastructure. You know what I mean?
Which is so simple because it's not hard to get electricity, really, especially in a place that has all the natural resources, sunlight, water, like everything you need.
Right. And then, I mean, I think one of his ideas too was the solar. You know what I mean? They were. I remember an interview of.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's just like.
That's why I say it's too much. Like, there's nothing. Like, if it's nothing but desert in certain areas, it seems like it's nothing but solar power.
Yeah, you can use that opportunity to light. I mean, you can get enough sunlight in one spot to really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Produce enough energy, and so. I remember this story pretty vividly. So he was looking at opportunities to bring in Africa to help. He first went to America. In America, I believe it was in North Carolina. There was a factory that had like all these unused solar energy equipment and stuff like that that he can use. But America didn't want to give it to him. Didn't want to help him. Blah blah blah. Meanwhile, the Chinese gave him a $1 billion credit line to fund it, and they have, China has so many excess extra resources that
Right.
they just had laying around. And we know that there's a huge Chinese influence in Africa. They're also in the Latin America as well too. They're all over. They've been very quiet, sneaking into all these different cultures.
And it's so crazy to me because for
Mm-hmm.
those of you who don't know, I used to live in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is African. When I was in Africa, right, I went to a diplomatic school and I actually like fought this Chinese girl, right?
Oh, really?
But I just remember saying to
Compound?
myself, what is this Chinese girl doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time when I got there, I didn't speak any Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
She spoke Arabic already. Chinese, Arabic, and English.
What? How old were you at the
I was in
time?
middle school.
And she already knew those three different languages.
Yeah, she didn't have she didn't have Arabic like 100% like down pat, but she had enough to get busy.
Mm.
She knew more than I knew when I got there,
Interesting.
and it was like crazy because it's like I'm actually Sudanese. It's like how the hell you don't know the language and I do.
Right. Um, I'm curious. I know we have a strong African audience in here too. Leave it in the comments. What is your, um, what do you think about the Chinese influence in Africa, in different countries in Africa or in the continent as a whole? What do you think about their influence? Because from the outside looking in, I see pros and I see cons.
Mm-hmm.
The pros are that you have a country that's willing to invest their resources, see the value in the people and the unlimited potential on this continent that nobody else wanted to give a shot to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these African countries are very young. Just to getting their freedom and stuff like that. Only been around for a couple of decades, and different religions, different languages, and stuff like that. But they're going in, investing, building infrastructure, buildings, railroads, internet, stuff like that. That's beneficial because it gives that country the opportunity to, catch up with world standards and where everybody else is at. The con is, from my interpretation, is that okay, you get this loan, but if you can't afford to pay it, then they can come and take your resources. So there can be issues with that. And some people may say that that's been their plan all along, giving out this amount of money and stuff like that, knowing that they can't pay it. It's kind of like a predatory loan, kind of like what happened here in the United States in 2008, where there was the housing crisis that we had.
Right.
Giving out all these loans and these rates,
knowing that people can't afford it.
Right. And nobody's going to bail them out. Like, who's going to? So if China was to invest in Ghana and Ghana can't pay the bill, who's going to bail them out? You know what I mean?
Stunner says that the government is taxing the citizens. Says Chinese influence is huge and is as huge as being on the east side. A lot of countries are in debt to China while the governments tax the citizens who really suffer and have enough to make and don't have enough to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
Growth is good, but we need a lot of change in the government to stabilize with the better living and income to the people.
Are you referring to the government of the African country, or are you talking about the Chinese government needs change in the government? I think he's referring to whichever country.
The government.
Yeah. I think there definitely needs to be some kind of stability. Like I said, I'm from the outside looking in. I see some countries who seem to be doing well off of the assistance. Like Kenya right now looks to be doing extremely well. They have high speed internet, very developed, clean, safe. There's a lot of people traveling there now, stuff like that. Like Nairobi looks like a U.S. City. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
But then you might I don't know what other countries that China is that influencing. I know China being a part of BRICS. You have China is a part of BRICS, and so is South Africa. So I know there's some connection there as well too. But yeah, I think it could be good and it could be
detrimental
as well too if done incorrectly, because everybody wants to bleed Africa of its resources. I mean, that's what everybody's doing now already. You know what I mean? From America, from Europe. I mean, Europe, man. All right. About to get into my bag.
I know you was. I felt it coming.
All right. Okay. So when it comes to Africa, a lot of people see Africa as like it's just one country, and it's very very ignorant.
It's a huge continent.
Right. And I see people trying to compare Africa to America or Africa to. I'm like, the United
So
States
ignorant.
is one country. Africa is a continent with 54 countries. So it would be better to compare an America to a Nigeria or a Canada to a Ghana, not Mexico to Africa. Like, you stop doing that shit. Irritating.
But they trained us up like that.
Yeah. There, and it's very expensive to travel within Africa. Like, you can travel from one country to another, and it will be like $500 to $600 just to go a 5 hour flight right next door, which is crazy. You know what I mean? And they overcharge and overtax because I forgot which country this is, but the French has a very heavy influence on a lot of African countries, and there's one African country that pardon me that I don't remember which country it is, but they still owe France money. You know what I mean? For their freedom and stuff like that. So they have to use the French dollar to be able to make any kind of transaction. So they can't just trade with another African country next door. They have to get permission from France to be able to do anything. And if they go against that, or if they default from their loan from France, and France cuts their water supply off, like, they have a whole chokehold on that country. And it's just like, if Africa was to come together, like all 54 countries, if they were just able to communicate and trade within each other, and I've seen that they're trying to work on this, like African free trade agreement, where a Kenya can trade with a South Africa, who can trade with a Uganda, who can trade with a Rwanda, Ghana, Nigeria.
And say fuck China.
Fuck everybody.
Yeah, for real.
Because if they can all work together and be able to just freely trade with each other, like, to me it's crazy. Like, for our continent, we have a free trade agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Very easy to trade goods and services between our countries.
Right.
But it's very difficult for them to trade, even though they're like that close. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway. Sorry guys, got into my bag a little bit. Back to Akon. So Akon has been working on ways to get more Americans to see the potential in Africa and to invest in Africa, because he believes that us Africans in the diaspora and actually African people on the continent, you just work much better together, and we can both help each other out. And Akon, he was actually born in America. Like, his father was really, really smart, and shout out to him for just being so forward thinking. Just because of what country you're born in, you're very limited to your capabilities. A lot of people don't know this. People here in America, we're very ignorant to this, because we're American citizens, we're allowed to travel to most of the countries in the world. But if you're born into a country in Africa, you can travel. You will be able to travel less in your continent compared to somebody that has a U.S. citizen.
Yeah,
which is crazy. So, Akon's father and his mother, they're both full Senegalese. Had Akon and his brother in America. Like, they had birth in St. Louis, Missouri, so they could have United States citizenship. Then they flew him to Senegal. He lived there for his first 8 years of his life, and then came back here to go to school. So he had a very unique experience of being an American citizen, yet growing up adolescence in Senegal, going back and forth and stuff like that. So Akon, going back to Senegal, was able to get assistance into creating his own city in Senegal.
Akon City. What kind of name is that?
And I seen an interview today So this is the name of it right now, but the name could change.
Okay, it needs to.
Yeah, I've
It's not. I don't want to
but
live there.
okay, at first, okay, it might sound a little egotistical naming a whole city after you and
No,
stuff like
that's not the
that.
problem.
What's the problem?
The name ain't good. What?
What's wrong with Akon
I don't
City?
like the name.
Because you think about it, there's a lot of cities named after
People's
people.
names. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Washington D.C. We don't think about it being like George Washington. Like, why does he get a city named after him and stuff like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we kind of do, but we've learned to just
Adapt
accept
to
it
it.
and move on.
Right.
Yeah, we have no choice. But when you really get down to
Right.
the nitty gritty, but you do want something with your name on it, but I don't know.
Because you gotta think, like, if with
I
Africa,
just don't like the name.
I'm thinking as, and it could be just because we have our own, interpretation of Akon. We have an image in our head of who he is and stuff like that. But if he is able to actually pull this off and make this city as miraculous as it actually looks and stuff like that, fuck it, put his name on it. Because there's so many cities. First of all, Africa is not even the original name of that continent in the first place.
Mm.
Africa is actually a European name. It came from a European.
Mm.
So Africa has been taken from his name, stolen so many times. I think it's
What is the name?
the original name. So what was the original name of Africa? Of course, not everybody saw it as one complete, continent. Like the Egypt area used to be called Kemet. But what was the original name of Africa? Original. Yeah, Al Kebulan was the original name.
Mother of Mankind, Garden of Eden.
It was used by the Moors, the Nubians, the Ethiopians, the people that lived in Kemet. So, like, these were the people that actually ruled the continent. If you guys don't know who the Moors are, the Nubians are, the Ethiopians, or people that lived in the land of Kemet, those are the people that ran shit around there. Like, I tell people all the time, like, Egypt ruled for 2,500 years. America has only been around for 500. You know what I mean? Like, just to compare. You know what I mean?
My last name
Is
them niggas.
them niggas. So yeah, so like, we're calling. So my whole thing is like, allowing an African to actually name his own city or stuff like that.
So.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there should be more of that. So, at first it might sound a little bit cringy. You know what I mean? Because we think
it was always a cringy name for the job.
we think it's so Survivor, Locked Up, and stuff like that.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
a convict.
Convict music.
I like that song.
But
Got locked up.
Right. I definitely want to hear you guys' opinions in the comments as well too. What do you guys think of the name Akon City? What do you guys think of this idea of him creating a city in Senegal, not that far from Dakar? It's supposed to have, own airport. It's a beachfront property. Lots of, beautiful condos. A lot of
Everything you could
jobs.
imagine.
Yeah, and I've seen renders of the city, what it's going to look like and stuff like that, and I'm just like, man, I think it's every person of color should be in support of this. Like, this is a chance to like create a Wakanda. You know what I mean? And I know Akon, he was really inspired by the movie Black Panther as well too. He renditioned the song from Afrobeat. Joanna made a Wakanda song and stuff like that. So, he had that very heavily in mind. He said, we want to make sure that if we're going to create something, we're going to create something that we can be proud of, something different, something beautiful. It's going to have everything you want: entertainment district, business district, education district, residential, tech, health and safety. And yeah, man. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So they also just started building. He said this year.
Okay.
They made everything official a couple of years ago, but with the pandemic, they
Right.
had to things slow down. But they actually started building this year, and
I'm glad.
yeah. So look, I'm definitely looking forward to it. When this goes up, I will definitely go and visit. I'll definitely go there for sure. So you guys already know I love to travel. So yeah, I'll put this on my list when it's
Go
ready.
to the menu.
All right. So a little bit about Akon City. It's a developed economy aims to adapt future development. The current evolution required a flexible infrastructure to accommodate new real estate development, the fast pace of global changes, economic progress, poverty and technology race, continuously causing Senegal to face various new challenges. Akon City will play a vital role in the quest for solutions to these challenges. The knowledge we generate and the professionals we train are expected and quite rightly to help in providing local solutions as well as a critical component of human development. Um, Another thing too, I know some people be like they don't see this as being possible, but when you look at,
How is it not?
you always gonna have doubtful people, right?
Mm.
So my thing is look at what Dubai looked like 10 years ago. Look at what China looked like 20 years ago. You know what I mean? They their ability to build very quickly um very possible, and there's a lot of people looking into Africa, you know, to see all this new opportunity and stuff like that. So um Akon is also very smart. His networking ability, he's friends with a lot of the um Saudis, uh people in the Middle East, people with he has friends in a lot of different areas.
Mm.
He's friends with the Chinese. He's friends with people in Dubai, Middle East, and stuff like that, and they are assisting, they are helping, they see the vision. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's anything wrong with getting assistance from people who have done it before and are willing to help you out and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just don't want to take advantage of, because that's going back to my cons. So.
Question. Going back to what you said about Dubai and their natural resources, do you
Mhm.
feel as though there is another natural resource that is abundant as the oil has been
Mm.
in that region in Africa? We know there's so many resources, but
Right.
of as high value.
Yeah, because I mean, Africa has oil, Africa has gold,
Mm-hmm.
Africa has cocoa. Africa has a lot of things that we use to survive. When it just comes to food, when it comes, there's a lot of resources that they have there naturally, and I think
And
I
do they
think
have that many wealthy people too? Because it's like
mm,
everything stays in the family too,
where in Africa
in the
or
Middle
in
East.
the Middle East,
If they were
yeah.
to copy the same method of.
Well, I think what my opinion from what I'm seeing from a geographical standpoint, I
Mm-hmm.
think that the Middle East looks at Africa as an ally because they're on the same hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of face some of the same challenges of dealing with the old way, the European way, the American way. They're kind of going in a different direction. In Africa, it's like
They need to
an open
spread the
field,
wealth because they can't be the only ones with money at the
and I
end of the
think
day because they are stupid wealthy. Like it's
right,
beyond any levels of wealth that we can
right,
even imagine.
and I think there's a lot of opportunities there. So as the Middle East is a very religious area, right? There's a lot of African countries who are also, Islamic as well too, and there's that bond and connection with that. Listening to Steve Harvey speak from the interview that he did with Ernie Leisure, he talked about the most. He also talks about the bridge between America and Africa. He talks about that. There's a lot of similarities in comparison to Akon and Steve Harvey and their vision for Americans coming to Africa and us investing in there. But another thing that they both also share is their connections with the Middle East.
Okay.
Steve Harvey mentioned, I believe it was Saudi Arabia. He knows the one of the higher people there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And good friends with them. He said he goes there. They rolled out the red carpet for them. Very nice, very polite people. He said it's one of the safest places you can go. There's no bullshit. There's no tolerance for unnecessary stuff, and develop a good bond. Right. There was a country in Africa during the pandemic that was suffering from high COVID rates and stuff like that, and they didn't have the supplies to like get masks and vaccines and stuff like that, and nobody was willing to help that country. They were kind of like asked out. So Steve Harvey, being in Africa, he saw that hey, we help these people out. Well, the guy decided. He said, I'm he wanted to be anonymous. He didn't want anybody to know that he did this, but he sent a whole fleet, a giant. He said he sent a giant plane full of supplies to give out to the entire country, masks and everything that they needed to help with COVID, and he did it for free. He didn't ask anything for the country, anything in return, anything like that. Just did it
so much money,
right. So Steve Harvey's like, I don't know many leaders in countries who are willing to do that kind of stuff for free, and you consider them to be, an enemy or evil or stuff like that. Like this is like, he just did a really kind gesture just to the fact that I'm a friend of his, and asked him a favor. He said he didn't even want me to bring it up. He's like, I just felt like I didn't. Steve Harvey said I just didn't want to take credit for this because this was too big. This was way bigger than me. You know what I mean? So. I'm saying that I think that side of the planet are starting to see that they're better together because they're close. You know what I mean? It's just the same way how, the United States has a great relationship with Canada and Mexico and stuff like that. They're close. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're just friends by being neighbors. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what's happening over there too.
Hope so.
My take on that. I'm gonna get back into the comments. Shout out to Stunner TNG in the building, man. He said at least didn't name it Convict City. Yeah, that would be a wild name. Yo, you name it Convict City?
No, you can't do that. You cannot do that.
He said, but before he money get into his bag, we leave it here for another day. Yeah, man. But yeah, man. I just wanted to give a shout out to Akon and what he's doing, and I fully support it, man. I wish him the best, and I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on it as well too. So looking forward to it. All right.
Top hill, top hill, top hill. Hell no. Top hill, top hill.